Hello, everyone. We want to take this opportunity to say thank you. As you grow at the Golden Boot, so do our needs, but we cannot do it without you. We ask that you continue to like our posts, share our content, and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, and other social media platforms. You may also visit thegoldenboot.com for the latest merch. If you would like to make a financial donation, you can do so through Cash App at @GoldenBoot or through PayPal at paypal.me/GoldenBoot. We look forward to bringing you more laughs, knowledge, and entertainment. And again, thank you for your endless support. Sincerely and respectfully, the Golden Boot team.
The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the HBCU Hour. It's your boy Pooh Bear. I got my man Ant Petty Murphy in the building. I'm going ahead, break. Come on. Let me go ahead and do this now. Let's go ahead. Young Ichiro in the building.
What
wearing his LeBron jersey just to mess with Ant.
Unfortunately.
Man, what a day. What a weekend. But we got a special guest with us, man.
Yeah, man. You know, I had to rock
I see.
the Howard gift, for tonight's occasion. Shout out to my cousin Blair, by the way, graduate of Howard Medical School. So but if we talking Howard, that must mean one thing, right? Like
yeah. Pink is up. I was gonna get the classical music. I was gonna
I forgot my teacup, man.
Oh man, I was gonna wear a bow tie, but my shirt came in, man. Coach E-Rod was right. He was
petty.
I'm just petty. Petty is true.
I mean, two things can be true. You could be petty, and it can be true.
You are absolutely right. That's one thing I will say. Yeah. But Coach E-Rod was definitely right.
I know he ain't got on no bow tie.
Yeah, he got it. He putting the bow tie on. So,
oh man, you petty. You petty. Don't you ever talk about me again.
He putting his bow tie on so he can represent maybe a future grad of certain. But we got some
you gonna send him to DC, man?
DC go if they'll pay for him, he'll go wherever they pay for. That's what we go.
I heard. I definitely feel you on that one.
We definitely do that. But without further ado, man, because the petty had already started. You called me petty. I just want to say, Banks was going at it.
Hey,
she said something about yeah. So, but we go with, what I'm saying.
She's probably the queen of the petty.
Queen of the matter of fact of I don't know if we can say HBCU United, but she's gonna be the co-host of the X's and O's podcast. None other. Everybody's favorite Howard. Well, not everybody's favorite. Banks' favorite Howard alone. We're gonna say that. We'll put it like that. But nah, man. One of our favorite friends, man. Fancy with the pink ear, Miss Erica Lee. Welcome to the HBCU Hour. Glad to have you. Thank you for joining us.
And you didn't need your teacup because I brought my cup. Here's to the Golden Boot.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you for coming on. And I see, look at you. Once a Howard, always a Howard alone. The Bison never leaves your blood, does it?
Never ever. I was on campus today, so.
Hey, shout out to Dr. Cavill. inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Said he gets last. Said he likes the jersey and the Howard gear. Yes, sir. So
it was only fitting, man. I had to pull it out for tonight.
I appreciate you.
Anytime. Speaking of Howard, while we on this subject,
let's go.
Why is Howard the greatest HBCU in your opinion?
I think we produce trendsetters, glass ceiling breakers. We're leads in our industry. We're now leaders in athletics. Much everybody's.
Okay.
Shout out to them co-champions and them champions.
You know, when we get on campus, they tell us the world is ours, and to go out there and just go get it and try to really make a way for others, change industries. I mean, we produce the most Black PhDs, we produce the most Black doctors, you know, vice president, Supreme Court justices, U.S. senators, like entertainment industry, politics, medicine, anything, all of it. We can do it all. So
y'all got the most Black vice presidents too.
Indeed, one.
Yeah. But I will say before we get started, I just want to let it be known that one of us on this show actually picked Howard to win the MEAC regular season. I just want to let that be known. So not everybody, you know, is hating on the fact that Howard is up in athletics. Some of us actually, you know.
Hey, Rail said Omega Psi Phi fraternity was founded there, so it is the best.
Oh, okay, Rev. I take your word for it, Rev. You know, we're gonna see how long that lasts till we bring on somebody from Morehouse, and then they're gonna
Rev ain't gonna switch up. Hey, he'll switch up on some team. He ain't gonna switch up on that frat.
Oh no, yeah, that's a big fact. That's a big fact.
Shout out to the sorors of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. My faves, my lovely sorors.
That's another pinky up.
Yeah, you got your pinky up twice.
Yeah, he's both of them. Eric, let me ask you this: how did you end up at Howard?
Oh, so well, I come from generations that have gone to Howard. My dad is class of 79, great uncle, cousins, aunties, like. So I grew up around Howard. We'd always go to Howard games. I'm from Richmond, and we drive up for Howard games. So when I applied to school, I applied to 4 schools: University of Pennsylvania, which is Ivy League, Howard, University of Virginia, and William and Mary. And I got into all 4 with full rides to Howard and William and Mary. But I wanted to go to Philly. I wanted to go to Penn. And my parents said, well, you have 2 options that are free, so pick one of those.
I heard that.
To Howard I went, and it was the best decision I ever made. Don't regret it at all. Really changed my life. I mean, I am all in on the Bison. So glad I went. And also to share that special relationship with my family members that went to Howard and my dad. If you see me at a game, you see my pops right beside me. Like, that is our thing. My mom stopped coming a long time ago because she said she got tired of traveling to watch the team lose. But we're winning now. So hopefully she'll come back around.
Yeah, I already know, for those of y'all who follow Erica on Twitter, we know we got to give Mama Lee 24 to 48 hours. And then y'all will be back, you know what I'm saying, talking about, you know what I'm saying, what games y'all going to attend. Let me ask this. So what separates Howard from other HBCU? Because we know the Black people are not a monolith, and no 2 schools are made the same. So what makes Howard so different from, you know, the other HBCU institutions?
So I say, as a full research university, you know, we have a law school, a medical school, a dental school, a pharmacy school, graduate school, business school. I mean, we have every offering, and they're pretty much the top in each of those offerings, which is kind of rare in a university. I think our location, I'm not so prideful enough to not say that being in Washington, D.C. gives us a leg up in a lot of ways. We have a lot of access to the halls of power, which help us. You know, we're a federally chartered institution. And we do get federal appropriations, although they have decreased over time. But, you know, our location, the type of student that we attract, like it's a very cosmopolitan international school. So you get kids from all over the world, all over the country, because it's a private school. So having that mix of everybody in the diaspora, like it really, really makes for like a really special place, I think.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. The diversity that you talk about, international. So I don't know how many HBCUs get that. I mean, obviously there's some, but you know, from the magnitude and the amount that to the extent that Howard does, I think that's kind of unique to that university in and of itself, and also the location, you know, and especially with the ties that you have with all the former alumni who are in positions of power in Washington that kind of are able to look out for their alma mater. That definitely is a benefit to y'all. But what makes it the Mecca though? Like I know you talked about all the history and you know all the research and all the famous alumni and stuff, but that gets thrown around a lot. The Mecca, and you know, for HBCUs, there's a lot of HBCUs who do have that prestige and do have that you know history. But what makes Howard you know the Mecca? What makes them? What separates them from the Morehouses and Spelmans and you know other institutions that have that history too?
Morehouse and Spelman, womp. I would say.
Whoa, we was not finna get canceled tonight. Hey, roll that disclaimer in.
Views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Yeah, y'all ain't canceling us tonight. Nope.
I'm sure my mentions are probably gonna go crazy. I mean, just that like that infusion of like the diversity of the diaspora all coming together in this like meld of intellectual exchange and cultural exchange. I think Ta-Nehisi Coates talks about it really well in his book Between the World and Me. Like there's the institutional part, and then there's that other thing that churns out these students and professionals and influencers and trendsetters that really like set the standard, not only just at the university level, but across industries, and really help to push not only like the university forward, but the culture forward in a lot of different ways. And it's kind of crazy how everybody comes in. This is normal for a lot of schools where everybody comes in one way freshman year and leaves out another way. But to see like my classmates like really get out there and get it on a big scale, like right as we leave, infused with that Howard pride and the things that we've been taught and what we learn from each other. I mean, it really is like this like center of like Black excellence. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you mentioned obviously we know the academic side, but the athletic side is kind of on the rise. We seen what the football team was able to do this year, co-champs. But the basketball
very
team,
proud of being co-champ. Shout out to Joshua Sims, host of HBCU Nightly, co-champ. Hi.
ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing, especially whenever you've been down for a while, you're gonna take it. I understand that. But I really want to talk about the basketball team and what they were able to do this year. Coach Blakeney has been there for a little while, and he's kind of starting to get the program where he thought he could be. He thought it could be. You traveled to the tournament game. What was that like as an alum, seeing your team out there being able to compete in the NCAA tournament?
Well, first of all, Des Moines was like the worst to get to. Like I thought we was going to Birmingham or Columbus. Des Moines was the one place I hope we didn't get, and we ended up getting it. Yeah. And I will say, like, I was on a work trip and kind of was burning the candle at both ends to try to get there. And I literally landed like 45 minutes before the game started. And from the airplane to the arena, like I saw Air Force 2 on the jetway from Kamala Harris, who had arrived a little earlier. And honestly, the energy was just like so high. I mean, we had a very raucous section. to be able to pull off getting buses to come, people flying in, people driving in from all over to Des Moines of all places. And for us to have hundreds of alumni there cheering on the team was really awesome. And the section we got, shout out to the HUAA, we were able to get, right there on the court for like $100 a seat. And those seats on StubHub were going like $600-$700. So that was wow. Yeah. What I didn't know was people in Iowa hate Kansas. So we had a whole bunch of other fans cheering for us, which was really neat. And just to see them hang in there as well as they did in that first half was really exciting. Like Steve Settles, I feel like he played the game of his life that game. Sometimes I felt like his shooting could be off during the season, but we had some other playmakers that would make it up. He was on for that game. To see how other role players stepped up and really didn't shy away from the big stage was really exciting. And we've been down for so long. We haven't been to the tournament since '92. And so to get there, I mean, we knew we would probably lose, but we were just so happy to see them.
Yeah.
I almost hit that Kevin Hart, which is we ain't been since '92. I was going, dang. I'm sorry, I ain't mean it like that, but nah, I do understand.
It's been some teams that's never made it, so I can't say nothing at all.
Thank you. But I do want to say this: y'all haven't been since '92, but y'all showed up in a mighty way. Howard fans showed up in droves. Not just Howard, HBCU fans in general showed up to support. What was the presence amongst the fans? From what you saw.
So definitely we had buses coming in from Chicago. People flew in. People drove like 24 hours to get there. We had some Norfolk State grads there. One is one of my childhood friends who drove up from Kansas City. So that was really cool. It was really weird to see like Black Kansas fans. I was like, this is like not the time to be Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Like, read the room, friends. Read the room.
Oh man.
So that was cool, and our whole band and cheerleaders, everybody came. They were able to pull that together, so that was really neat.
No.
And
ask what say.
You gonna ask me a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he said he wanted to ask a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, you can ask me a question.
You don't now? Go ahead. I'm sorry, you finish.
No, you're good. So that was really cool. I mean, one, us winning, I think, has had like a really discernible impact on the engagement of Howard alumni in the athletics department. Like when you've been in the doldrums for so long, like it's easy to just kind of dismiss it. Like, we never lost a party, or, we're in the top 80 in the US News and World Report, or we got a vice president. And, we always kind of dismiss sports, but I think it's a kind of a sour point for a lot of people, but it's easier to lean on the stuff that we're good at. And I think people were kind of tiptoeing in their support of the ladies at Howard athletics, like they've been killing the game for the last several years. But when it came to revenue sports, it was hard to get people to trust that something catastrophic wasn't going to happen at the end. And when we were down 4 points with 20 seconds to go in that MEAC championship game, I was like, no. I really thought it was over. I was like at a bar in Austin watching it distraught. And then all of a sudden Doc hits that 3-point shot and they fouled Jelani Williams and we're up by 1. And I just couldn't believe it. And now I think the people are feeling better about supporting and engaging.
Yeah. I was a little torn during the game. Initially I picked Norfolk State to win the MEAC tournament. But I like the story about Howard. I was torn. My heart was saying Howard, my parlay was saying Norfolk State. So it was a little tough.
It's hard to beat a team 3 times.
It is.
As you see, I got blocked by Norfolk State's head basketball.
Especially whenever they got, the MEAC player of the year. and somebody as good as him, and his running mate Bankston ain't no slouch either. So that was a great team that y'all beat 3 times. So
I mean,
that just more impressive.
Bryant,
Yes,
amazing. I can't take anything away from him. I feel like we let up on him in the second half of the MEAC championship game, because we held him to no points in the first half.
Yeah. That second half, he went off. He was a man on a mission in that second half for real.
He only had 9 points in the regular season final, and he really only had 6 points until the last minute. So I think we let our foot off the gas a little bit.
All right. So you talked about women's sports and being able to dominate. You got the women's indoor track back-to-back champions for the MEAC. You've got not just that, the swimming team, NEC champs. You've got also the rugby team gaining a lot of steam and starting to pick up. So it looks like Howard is finding that athletic footing to be competitive, not just in the classroom, but on the sports fields too, or sports arena, however you want to look at it. So,
yeah, I mean, volleyball, this was the first year in a string of years that volleyball didn't make it to the NCAA tournament. Women's basketball won the MEAC championship last year, won the first 4 game. They lost to Norfolk State in the last few seconds in the MEAC championship this year. Track and field, softball won the MEAC championship last year. Tennis did really well. I mean, the women have been holding up the mantle. And the men have always found like really dramatic, catastrophic ways to lose. And it's wild that they didn't this year.
Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
I was about to say, I think for the men, I think especially basketball, I think like being able to get a Jelani Williams transferring from Pitt, being able to get Odoms from Sierra Kane, highly touted prospect. I think they're kind of starting to turn the page, especially basketball wise. I think they were able to get McCoy Maker, big time prospect. So I think they're getting the talent in now. As Blakeney showed this year, you just got to start winning with that talent. If they can keep bringing the talent in, I think they'll be set up for success. And then football wise, I mean, you've had success here and there. It's just stringing it together for a full season. You've had a big win, upset win, then you drop games you're supposed to win right after that. So it's just, I think, finding the consistency for both programs in a sense, because talent isn't an issue as much as making sure you can piece it together and get the most out of that for game in and game out.
Yeah, I mean, on the basketball end, I mean, we had RJ Cole. We had CJ, last name is escaping me. Top scorer in Howard history. RJ Cole was one of the leading scorers in the MEAC. I mean, they're almost like, I call them like Sam Sessoms, like, scoring.
that man still scoring.
I think she have nightmares about that man from that game.
37 of their 70 points. That's insanity. Like insanity. And so we've had those players, and being able to put the pieces together, you can't be a one-man show. And what Howard basketball showed this year is you need at least 3 scoring pieces, and you're starting 5. Hopefully you got a 4th. And then our team 1A, or team 2 as I call them, because they do kind of like a hockey change out, was able to kind of lock it down on defense while the first team got rest. Football wise, I feel like we took a giant step back when we had that Ron Prince hire. We had a great coach. I don't know why names are escaping me, but he's at William & Mary now.
He took Kalen with him.
Well, I don't think so. Kalen didn't go to William & Mary. He stayed for that first year of the Ron Prince regime. Well, the only year of Ron Prince.
Didn't Kalen end up in William & Mary? I thought he transferred.
He went to Auburn. He transferred to Auburn and sat the bench.
Oh, okay.
And so we beat UNLV. We had
huge win.
It was huge. We had a winning season that year, and then when the coach went to William & Mary and Ron Prince came in, I kind of knew something was wrong when I went to Chicago and we played Hampton, and something in the milk wasn't clean about that game. Like, we just looked deflated in a way that I didn't think we should look. And then the stuff started coming out about what was happening in the locker room, and players, left the team mid-season. And it's taken, Coach Scott to come in and really having to build it back up from the ground up when we had that momentum and kind of got stopped midway.
I got Chuck said Mike London is the head coach of William and Mary.
That's it, Mike London. I don't know why the name couldn't. I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I remember him from his days at Virginia. So Mike London,
U of R too.
Yeah. Erica, let me ask this. So you have shown a great love of tennis. But I want to ask you this, because it's not just tennis. It's pretty much all sports that we've seen you kind of, like I said, I know it because I've seen, we've seen, you talk about it. But personally, as a Black woman navigating sports, what are some of the obstacles that you face?
Well, if we're talking about tennis, that's a country club sport. So I started playing tennis probably at 14 years old, joined my tennis team, worked my way up from the very bottom to like the number 3 on varsity. Shout out to my parents that paid for lots of private lessons. Cause like, we don't come to watch you lose. So, and tennis is an expensive sport too, but as far as the country club, the country club dynamics were really hard for me to navigate. I was a basketball player and a fast pitch softball player, and I thought I was an athlete. So let me pick up a racket, right? And tennis, that's not a sport you just pick up a racket and play. But also just those microaggressions and the not so subtle racism in the sport, and just interrupting an all white space all the time in tennis. Even the club I play at now it's all white. I'm usually the only Black woman there. So that was always kind of like a weird thing. In softball too, like, it's kind of racist in the other way, like the redneck way. So you go from like one extreme to another, playing both seasons in high school, right? And I was only the only Black girl in that space too. I think that's why I navigate spaces pretty well now, just from those experiences.
Yeah.
And then jumping into this like HBCU sports media too, like, you kind of have to shout a little louder to get heard. Have to kind of show that a little bit of your X's and O's.
I see what you did there.
Boom, boom, boom. There's not a lot of Black women in the space, especially in the HBCU media space. And I feel like I'm growing, at a steady pace. And I'm glad for the opportunities I've gotten, just like coming here to talk the things that I love. I mean, I've been going to Howard and HBCU sporting stuff since I was a little girl. And to be able, I grew up in Richmond. We go to Virginia State things, Virginia Union things. My brother went to Hampton, so we went to Hampton things.
We finna get there.
Segue time.
Segue.
So I just, that's how we spent our time. And my oldest brother played college football at Ball State. So like, it's just always a thing. And so it's cool to be, talking about something I really like.
Do you feel like as a woman, you have to know twice as much as kind of the old adage of you got to do twice as much with half as less? You know what I mean? Do you kind of feel like that sort of applies to you in this profession?
Yeah, and sometimes I'm self-conscious too. Like, in some of those Twitter spaces, it gets real contentious, and I don't think I know play calling all that great in football. I just know what I see. I can see the dynamics, on the field, right? But I can't say that's like this play or that play. But I don't find it's held me back. The only thing that's held me back is my reticence to put my opinion out there. And I think I'm getting a little more comfortable talking about it.
As you should. You're very articulate, and you always bring forth information. There's a lot of people in this this medium who kind of just talk in circles and don't really say anything, but they make it sound real good. They like to use big words and stuff like that to make it sound like they know what they're talking about, but they don't put out any information. You actually, put out facts and have stuff to back up what you're saying. So I've always liked listening to you, especially in the HBCU space. You and Dr. Cavill are like the voice of reasoning to a certain extent, in that in that chaos that can be seen lightly.
Thank you. Yeah, it is chaos. Yeah.
All right, so let's get the other voice out. Cause listen, we talked about the reason stuff. We won't care about all that. No, I'm just playing.
So he being petty tonight. I'm gonna just sit back.
No, because listen, somebody said to me, he said, hey, you know what I'm saying? What are some things you want to, saying, any other topics you want to talk about? Like, listen, I want to talk about it. I said, you know what? I got you. So let me ask this question. We had the HU Pirate Ship on a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the story about Hampton leaving the MEAC and reasons why, and should they come back and stuff. Those guys came on and they kind of spoke their piece, but it seemed like it kind of bothered you, some of the their answers. So
I think they did a real nice PR job.
So what was it that bothered you about about that their take on Hampton leaving the MEAC?
I don't think it was purely just a business decision. And I don't think anybody in the powers that be or anybody in the Hampton sports media space will ever admit that was a purely business decision. Now, the Aggies, that's a little different. Although when we talk about folks leaving the MEAC, the Aggies are so insecure about it. They always jump in the conversation when it's not always about them. Getting Hampton folks to talk about it openly is a chore. And I give it to them. They're like one team, one fight. Like
one band, one sound.
One band, one sound. I give it to them. No dissension or anything publicly. But I don't think that was just strictly a business decision. I think with their dear leader, Dr. Harvey, there are circles he wanted to be in, and now he's in those circles. And that's that.
From the conversation we had, the Dr. Harvey angle is one I feel like really played out. That's what he envisioned that school being with the CIAA. But I think when he envisioned them being with the CIAA was a completely different conference at the time. And now it's not the same, but they're carrying out his mission, although he's no longer there. So,
I mean, he's there.
Yeah.
I think the institutional alignment wording will always bother me. Because what are you saying about the rest of us? If you're not institutionally aligned with those of us in the MEAC, some of which the institutions are ranked quite a bit higher academically. I won't name one, but the name is on my chest. So, and you're saying institutional alignment, tell me what that means.
You don't find that suspicious?
That will always bother me because I feel like our institutions, we should support each other. We should uplift each other. We should pull each other up. I know, when Howard's in the room, we're always trying to fight for and advocate for the rest, right? That's a special place I think we hold in our position amongst, the HBCU community. And so I just didn't like that terminology, but it kept coming up. And if you're talking about strictly business and sports, then institutional alignment probably isn't the wording you use.
So does it seem to be some false sense of elitism or something coming from them? Like, is that the way that you interpret that institutional alignment comment? Almost as if the schools that are in the MEAC don't have the same goals as us, or we're somehow better because we're trying to do X, Y, and Z, and they're not in line with that.
I mean, I don't think those schools in the CIAA are better than Howard.
Yeah.
I mean, William and Mary's ranked higher marginally, but we're talking about academics and all the things that you institutionally align. Like, if anybody's probably more institutionally aligned with those universities or schools and other conferences, it's probably ours, right?
Yeah.
Those are words we would never use. But if you want to walk in that old boys club of the 757 and the 804, then those are the things you say.
Whew.
Now, I don't think that the alumni, all of the alumni were in agreement with them leaving. I know that for a fact. They're probably quite annoyed about it.
Yeah.
But
they admitted that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're never going to say that. So I don't.
That's a generational debate, though.
It's a generational debate. And I also don't attribute Harvey decisions or administration decisions with the thoughts and feelings of the alumni base that make up the institution, right? I'm not silly enough to do that. But that administration had its vision to do this thing, and they did it. And whether that was good for the university or not remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Especially when this is a moment for HBCUs, and I feel like they're missing it. And I'm not a Hampton fan by any means, but I don't want them to miss the moment that we all are experiencing.
Well, speaking of that, do you think that there's a few what we call independent, what we like to call, me and Pooh like to call independent HBCUs. They're not in the SWAC, MEAC, or a traditional HBCU. Do you feel like of those that Hampton kind of is the biggest afterthought? Because I feel like Tennessee State and A&T do a much better job of kind of staying relevant, even though they're not in one of those two big conferences.
Well, A&T stays relevant because they still don't know how they feel. Well, they really don't feel great about leaving. So they're always poking in business that's not theirs, right? We see it all the time. Why are you talking MEAC stuff? You're not in the MEAC no more. But they still want to be friends. And I get it. Right?
It's the coworker who quit but still come up to the job and visit everybody every now and then. You don't work here no more.
You literally
don't work here no more.
Yeah.
Shout out
Y'all funny. Y'all funny. Hey, speaking of, I got a little petty. I got a question. One of y'all alums, famous alums, Sean Diddy Combs, Brother Love Combs, whatever. He gives back to Howard quite often. Am I right about that?
He does, yeah.
Okay, because I don't know if Jackson State ever got their check. I'm just waiting. I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know either. I'm sure if they got it, it cleared, but somebody needs to confirm on either side.
I don't know if they ever got their check. I'm just gonna say, for one more time before we move on, Coach E-Rod was right. I'm just gonna say Coach E-Rod was right.
Y'all got a lot going on in the SWAC. Let me tell you, it's a lot less drama in the MEAC. I promise.
It's a lot.
See, the petty of me almost slipped out. The petty.
Say it.
Because you said we got a lot more. We got a lot more teams too, though. So I mean, part of that comes with it. I mean,
yes.
I'm just saying.
Y'all funny. I'm gonna say this because we're gonna move on to a little football. This name keeps coming up.
Little football.
This name keeps coming up week after week after week.
Man, that man is gone to Colorado. Leave that man alone.
No, not that name. Not that name. Not that name. Coach E-Rod was right, but not that name. Davius Richards, man. Richard. You know how I like to say it.
Richard. En français.
She got you, Pooh. She went up to you on that.
Richard en français.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I like. See. now I'm gonna have to step.
That's that Howard.
You're gonna have to step your game up, Pooh.
Step my French game up.
Yeah.
Anyway, he has a chance to break 3 North Carolina Central records this year.
Is it?
And it's
he must already broke the rest of them.
Hey, must have, because when I was looking at this, the first one, I was like, oh, this is easy. He definitely gonna break this one. He needs 2,457 total yards to pass Earl Harvey for the most total yards.
How many? 2,700?
2,457.
Oh yeah, he got that.
He'll beat that.
5 games.
He need 5 rushing touchdowns to have
That's
the
2
most
games.
the most touchdowns, rushing touchdowns in school history. And he's on pace to pass Malcolm Bell with the best career completion percentage of 58%. That man is bad. So, with that being said, I want to ask this question. Does next year's draft class have the best chance to see an HBCU quarterback drafted?
Well, no. I would have said yes, but one of them's in Colorado right now, so I don't think that's going. I mean, I'm just saying.
Why? It's gonna get eaten alive in the Pac-12. Get out of here.
I don't know what to say.
If the one that's in Colorado would have stayed in the SWAC, he would have got drafted. But I just say, I think if you take him out the pit, well, if his daddy took him out the picture, so yeah, I think you can get one
because here's the class. Yeah,
you got Richard, you got Musa, possibly. I don't know if Andrew Body gonna come out though.
Possibly Body. But no, I'm not saying he, but possibly Body.
What about D. Davis? What is his? I
don't see him being a draft pick.
I do draft, or you just saying drafted period? Because I think
no.
Drafted XFL, US.
No. I mean, I'm sorry, I should have said state. You're absolutely right. NFL draft, because it's the last quarterback drafted in the NFL HBCU was Tavares Jackson.
Yeah, Tavares Jackson. Yeah. I don't know, bro. It's gonna be tough. I think Davies should for sure, but I think him and Moose are the only shots, and I think Davies gonna have to have another year like he did last year, and Moose is gonna have to have a better season than he had last year.
I can't argue with that. Basketball. I told you it was just gonna be a little football. That was it. We do know spring games are still coming up. So starting
whole new offensive staff. So we'll see how that
works
out this year. Yeah.
Starting this Saturday, spring games for HBCU starts. And then everybody else gonna be on the 15th pretty much. But we've already gone through that. But in basketball news, Jackson State's Associate Vice President, Miss Elise Wells Kilbert, has been appointed to the NCAA's Women's Basketball's Rule Committee. It's a 4-year assignment, and that will begin in September for her. So, man, shout out to, HBCUs. We already know that we talked about Dr. McClellan being the chair on the men's side beginning next tournament, and then now to have Jackson State Associate Vice President be able to be a part of this rule committee. That's big. So
I think she will have more of an impact than Dr. McClellan in the sense for that conference, because there's only so much Dr. McClellan could do in his role. He'll have to recruit himself from all of the SWAC teams that are being mentioned. You know what I mean? So there's only so much he could do to impact his conference directly. Whereas, she could try to look out for, rules, transfer rules, and things of that nature to kind of help out SWAC in Jackson State a little bit more than he can directly. But it's just the fact that she was selected this big in HBCUs as a whole, just to have that representation.
Next one, Jackson State staying down in Mississippi. Well, I say staying in Mississippi, maybe not. Coach Tamika Reed, her name has been leaked to the Memphis opening.
I hope not, bro. That ain't a big enough jump.
No, it's not. And honestly, I want to see them win the SWAC tournament.
They won the last year.
They didn't win this year.
That's true. That's valid. This year was a better team and didn't win it. But yeah, man, if she leaves, she got to leave for like a Ole Miss, or obviously Coach Yo ain't going nowhere. But I'm just saying, like, she got to leave for a school of that caliber. If she leaves, you don't leave for a Memphis, bro. Like, that ain't a big enough jump.
Yeah. But that is interesting to me. Currently a HBCU coach. But this one was, maybe it was because it was they were talking about, maybe it's just me. But there was a panel of about, I think it was 68 agents or so, that were having a conversation. Shout out to Coach Moulton, from North Carolina Central, who pointed this out, or brought this up. They were basically saying that HBCU coaches don't get hired or get the looks from these mid majors and these Power 5 schools because they don't have the hustle. They don't do enough, or they're not of the right caliber.
It was such a cop out, honestly. It was.
I hope your dad and I watch the poop, but bullshit. That's what that is. Basically, we've seen this time and time again. NCAA shows it to us. Now the other programs show it to us time in, time out. They don't see HBCU basketball on the same level as other conferences. Goes back to having to be twice as good with half as less. Honestly, you have to, like, if you look at the year Grambling men had this year, Dante Jackson's name is not going to be mentioned for a job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but right up the road from Grand Northwestern State didn't make the tournament either. They lost in their conference championship game as well. Yet their coach gets hired by Austin Peay. I know that's his alma mater, but I'm just saying, 1 year there has a good year, you get a job, promoting up to another level. Whereas Dante Jackson's been Grambling 2 years, won 90 games, 2 years, 3 years, and what does he have to show for it? You go get him next year in Grambling. So I mean, there's nothing really that they can do other than try to change the perception of HBCU basketball. As far as X's and O's and winning, there's nothing more that they can do. They've done it already.
I guess the question is, do we see those programs as steps up, or do we have our coaches really settle in for the long haul to promote and elevate HBCU basketball on a large scale?
I don't think they're necessarily, a lot of those programs aren't necessarily step ups, but they have a better opportunities for those coaches to excel throughout the season. As far as some conferences have more, I'm not gonna say more, have a better chance to get better seating in tournaments, or to get a at-large bid in tournaments. But for the most part, if you look at it, I mean, like Grambling this year,
they beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, you single digit loss.
I know Johnny Jones has had his chance at some of these big universities, but I mean, he's taken Texas Southern to the tournament how many years in a row?
Three straight.
And I understand that he's already had his shot, but we've seen plenty of other coaches who've had a shot go down to a smaller level and get a shot again at the bigger level, but nobody's mentioning Johnny Jones' name. It's because of where he coaches at. And so I think not only, I don't think it's necessary that these jobs are better and that these coaches would leave, but it's just the fact that they're not even being considered. And that goes to show that it's not about what they've done as far as coaches. It's about the leagues that they coach in that's preventing them from getting looks.
I don't think it's the leagues that they coach in. It's the networks that they have. I mean, we watch Lane Kiffin fail time and time again. Everywhere he goes, Lane Kiffin fails. And he keeps getting opportunity and opportunity after opportunity because of the networks and the spaces he walks in. Right?
Well, I feel like Johnny Jones was obviously in the network at one point in time for him to land a job at a Power 5 school like LSU. You know what I mean? And he, the North Texas job before that. So he was in the right circles to get, mid-major and Power 5 jobs. The network he in had
in the right circles, right? Like, you get one shot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you get one shot, if you're a black head coach, apparently. But I feel like part of it is, to your point, part of it is true. They don't, how many of them have coached under Jay Wright, or who coached under Roy Williams, you know what I mean? To where they can use those connections to get like Dusty May, for example, the coach at FAU. He got the job at FAU because he was the assistant coach for Mike White at Florida, and Mike White's brother-in-law was the FAU AD. So you know what I mean? It wasn't anything that he did as a coach to get that job. He just knew the right people. So part of it is that, but at the same time, part of it is these coaches have shown that they're good enough, but it comes down to who you know, not what you've done.
And I will say, like Kenny Blakeney, he's from the Coach K tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Mike Bray, Coach
Yeah.
Krzyzewski, the Duke tree, right? And they're very supportive of him. One of our assistants is played at Duke as well. So luckily he didn't get poached after this run. Thank God. It's like, do we have to pass a collection plate to keep this man? But we were able to keep him. But he's of that coaching tree. So I just don't know a lot of other HBCU coaches that come from those types of elite basketball spaces.
Not many. Not many, no.
I'm trying to think of how to set this question up. Is this a chicken or egg kind of situation where which do we see first? Do we see HBCU coaches start getting, more looks, or do we start seeing the HBCU basketball teams get better respect and more recognition in NCAA tournament?
I think HBCU basketball is already getting better. So I think HBCU...
I'm sorry, when I say getting better, I mean getting better seating.
Seating. Oh.
I mean, Dawn's comment should go a long way for the women's side. I'm hoping
it should.
I hope. On the men's side, I don't know.
Yeah, on the women's side, on the women's side, I think you're closer to seeing it happen. Because of Don and what Coach Reed has been able to do at Jackson State. You know,
Coach Morgan last year said the same thing.
Some of the comments that other coaches have said about hers. So I feel like the women's side is closer than the men's side. On the men's side, I think it's gonna take. It's probably gonna take for you to knock off somebody in the tournament. You're gonna have to
consistently.
No, I don't even think consistently. Nah, I think if you can have a 15 seed knock off a 2 seed or something like that, you know what I mean, and that'll kind of validate the conference in a sense, especially if they're in a tough like this year, for example. If Texas Southern would have knocked off a 2 seed, you're like, okay, they didn't even win their conference regular season. They barely got in their conference tournament, and they were able to do this. That must be a good conference. You know what I'm saying?
Like MEAC has done that before. We've had several instances of this. Hampton, Norfolk State, Coppin State. We've done it.
Yeah. HBCU Pass says out of conference wins, but we kind of saw that with the SWAC in the Pac-12. It wasn't enough wins as far as because they had wins like all around. You start seeing Jackson State's first win was over SMU.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, it's.
I mean, we played Notre Dame last year to 2 points. We lost that game by 2 points, and we was up a little bit of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what I mean. I know we've talked about it kind of ad nauseum about what can be done to, get HBCUs more respect, basketball wise. I don't know. I think the mindset, something has to change the mindset, and I don't know if it's necessarily up to HBCUs to do it because they're doing everything they can, or at least trying to.
I think we have to run one team has to run the tape. You got to end the conference like 27-0. You got to run the table to at least get a shot at a 14, 15 seed or something.
Yeah, I agree with that part. You're going even if you have an FAU year where you go 31-3, you're not going to be a 9 seed. You know what I mean? You're going to be 12 seed, 13 seed.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. Despite how people kind of look at us, it's not stopping NIL deals. According to what is this called? And shout out to HBCUsports.com for this story. But it's according to, what is it? Sports United, I think is what the company is called. That does the they do like a breakdown of all the schools with or all of the students who have NIL deals and the number of deals. The top two are both HBCU student athletes. Raekwon Smith from Norfolk State, we talked about him. He has 57 deals under his belt. NIL. King of the NIL. The other is and I can't find the link to the article, but he goes to Johnson C. Smith. I think his name was Naquan Drake, maybe. But yeah, so the NILs are still coming to HBCU players. Now, the problem I do see there, the amount of money per deal isn't the same, but they are getting deals.
Yeah, we had a guy, Jelani Williams, right before the tournament. He got a deal with White Castle and Peloton. And that was really cool to see.
What a crazy combination.
Thanks. It was
crazy combination. But yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Kaiwan Dukes plays football for Johnson C. Smith. He has 29 NIL deals.
Wow. Congratulations to them, man. Get that money, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that's some. We only got a couple more before we get ready to get up out of here.
Florida let me
go ahead.
Because I just saw Settles into the transfer portal.
I actually talked to him today in the Howard cafeteria.
So what's the mood around the university? Do you think that they'll be able to keep most of the guys there, or do you think because of the success they had this year, those guys are gonna try to test the water and see if the grass is greener?
Almost all are staying, from what I know. Settles is the only one in the portal. Okay. And I can't give too many details, but yeah, we got some folks coming in.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
We'll talk off mic. Get the scoop.
Okay. As long as y'all know him, because that boy finna be a monster, man.
Who?
The freshman.
Shy Odom?
Yeah, Odom. Yes.
You know, I really enjoyed how Shy played. You know, he didn't start in the beginning of the season, earned his way on the starting five, really turned it up in the middle of the season. But who I was really impressed with at the end of the season was Bryce Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, that game against Norfolk State, he had like 25 points. I mean,
he turned it up toward the end of the season. Yeah. But just seeing a freshman Odom like that, he's so tenacious, man. Like, and he just seemed like the bigger the moment, the more productive he gets, and the better he plays. So I'm just really curious to see how his career is gonna end up.
I think hopefully he hits up his homies in Sierra Canyon and tells them to come to Howard. And also working on his free throw percentage.
Yeah,
that was pretty bad.
He young though. He got some time to work on that. But we're not gonna talk about that.
I also kind of want to before it ends, shout out Marcom Banks of Morgan State University. The Bears. They think they're our rivals, but they're not.
So who is your rival?
I guess Hampton, but it's been a little boring lately since they left. Going back and forth with Banks has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. He makes it a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Banks is so fun. Listen, he literally, when we what were we talking about? We posted the schedule. Banks got up there and told Dave that they was the booty call of the CAA. I was like, what? He said, y'all are the booty call of the CAA. The CAA call, like, what y'all doing? Y'all be like, we coming.
His hot takes are.
Oh man.
I know he was very upset. I want to shout out everybody who I DM'd and donated money that we could take 4 buses and 200 students to the Morgan State Howard game in Baltimore. I went up there incognito and bought 200 tickets, and they didn't know we was coming, and it's fantastic.
All right.
So
Champ D 1012 says, and they are y'all rivals, accepted, Erica.
They are not in our league. They're just on one below.
All right, be careful. They might be co-champs one day. Be up there with y'all.
What was the worst thing was they was co-champs in 2014, and Banks was coming at me like, y'all co-champs, it ain't legit, this, that, and the third. And they was co-champs with 6 other teams. He just neglected to say that.
Oh man.
This MEAC, hey, this MEAC, this MEAC is hilarious.
So y'all see a bunch of stuff there.
As it is.
Yeah.
So Morgan State, is he calling Morgan State the booty call?
I don't know. Hey, now I did see Morgan State is playing Stony Brook for homecoming.
For homecoming, it seems egregious to me.
Why would they do that?
Yep.
And they're going to New Haven to play Yale.
Interesting.
Very, very, very. That was something I did last year. I realized that Howard was auditioning for the Ivy Leagues with their schedule.
We weren't, no.
Their schedule. They were playing everything. I mean, they was making their runs.
They made a tour. They went on tour, didn't they?
Yeah, what?
Not true. I mean, we were on a tour, but we weren't auditioning for them. We could. Now, I will say Coach Blakeney has an awesome recruitment plan because he goes and gets those 5th-year grad transfers from the Ivy League. We had 2 a couple years ago from Columbia, where Coach Blakeney was an assistant coach for a long time. Of course, we got Jelani from Penn. We got Kobe Dixon from Cornell. So, they get their Ivy League degree, come to Howard for their master's degree, get their Black experience and play ball. Like, it was best of both worlds.
Get the Black experience. That's funny. Florida Memorial hired a 2-time national championship coach, Alex Nichols, to lead their men's soccer team. So men's soccer in the HBC. Florida Memorial is kind of Howard is doing swimming and what's the other, rugby. Florida Memorial has beach volleyball and men's soccer. So yeah. And we all know I'm my next question, who's the next school to get gymnastics?
That's a good question.
I got a theory. What's good, Aunt?
Then
Them boys down. I mean, the women down your way. I think that's the next one.
Post.
I think that's the next one. The writing's on the wall. So
Keeping my mouth closed.
Raja, last one. Raja Cruz finished 13th this past Saturday in the XPEL 225 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
But congratulations.
His starting position was 20. And this is his highest finish of this year. He has finished 29th in back-to-back races, and then he finished 13th this past Saturday. So he's definitely climbing the charts, man. So shout out to Winston-Salem.
Man.
Yeah. So Miss Erica, tell the people where they can find you before we get out of here. You
can find me on Twitter at ERLee0217. So ERLee0217 on Twitter. And you can follow that at X's and O's pod. And we're getting all that together. Going to be doing content soon after the spring game. So looking forward to that. And also at HBCU Nightly, follow Josh Sims. I co-host on there every Wednesday night at 9, well now 10 o'clock. And that show is a lot of fun. If you haven't been to HBCU Nightly, you really should drop through on Twitter.
Don't know what you're missing, man.
I completely agree. It's always informational. It's always a good time as far as jokes and stuff. Oh man, listen, I'm about to fire myself. I forgot about this. Bowling. The bowling championships, man.
Oh yeah, bro. How you forget that?
Prairie View wins the SWAC. They beat Alabama State in the finals of that one. You got North Carolina A&T won the MEAC. Fayetteville State won the CIAA. And so kudos to all those teams. I thought FAMU was gonna take it in the I thought they were at least gonna make it back to the championship game. They lost and then ended up playing Prairie View to see who would go to the championship game, and they lost to Prairie View, and then Prairie View went on to beat
That's why you didn't want to mention it, because Alabama State.
Listen here, that MEAC bowling championship is North Carolina A&T's only claim to MEAC now. Makes them still feel apart.
Dave, get in them DMs, hit up. She talking about y'all.
Nah,
they go get you here. But nah, man. It's been fun. Like I said, we were looking forward to this. Truly appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, coming on and talking with us. Look forward to it. Look forward to doing it again. We'll have to come back and tell us about the spring game. Tell us what we can look forward to. We're gonna make another run for the co.
I'd like outright.
All right. Okay.
Looking at you, North Carolina Central. Y'all coming to green this year.
Howard going to the Celebration Bowl. Okay.
I've already booked my hotel.
Howard to the Celebration Bowl. Who they gonna play? Who you want Howard to play in the Celebration Bowl?
FAMU, the little Rattlers.
She knew not to say Grambling because she want to win.
I'm just saying, how y'all gonna win the Celebration Bowl? Y'all couldn't even beat Alabama State last year. I'm just saying, and that challenge, that MEAC challenge.
We lost that game more than they won it. There was no reason why we should have lost that game. They were not better than us.
I'm being honest with you. After I watched that game, there was no way I saw Howard being anything. After that,
honestly, had we had 3 starts and stops, that game would have been a lot different.
Yeah, it was
valid. That's valid.
There was a lot of things happening in that little space.
Renaud was not cooperating. Shade. Nah, it wasn't shade. I thought y'all co-defendant might be. That's about it. Co-plaintiffs beating up on folks.
Nah, man. Witness. Nah, bro. That
did not
chair of some, cabinet in the White House before they've been. That's how, man. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
You're right. So who would have been a co-defendant? Hampton. That's what you're trying to say. Don't start nothing. You already starting. You are starting.
I ain't saying that word. I ain't saying the word.
I know who won't be in the Celebration Bowl.
Who that?
Who?
Morgan State.
Oh. I thought you were gonna say A&T.
I mean, we know that.
Yeah, but I didn't know you was finna throw a real shout out.
Morgan. All right. Hey, we'll be back most likely on Thursday. Most likely. I will talk about it.
We'll be here Thursday.
We'll be here. We'll do something. But we'll be back again. It was been a pleasure having Miss Erica Rochelle Lee on here, dropping the ins and outs of Howard for us. And you got anything before we get up out of here? If I hit this button?
Nah, man, I'm good, bro.
All right, like that, we out.